You're watching Media Week. Let's check in on some of the big stories around the sector this week with James Manning from Media Week. James, let's start with this story, Triple M. Now, it published a Sydney radio rich list, which caused a bit of controversy. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, Matty Johns has recently joined that show, and he's got a bit of a mischievous humour, and he knows how to create a few waves, if you like, in the media. So they've been coming up with different lists, and they thought, OK, we'll do a list of who earns the most in radio. But they conveniently left themselves off the list, of course, but created a bit of trouble elsewhere. If you want to know the top 5, and it's probably no surprise, but Alan Jones, Ray Hadley, Kyle, then Jackie O, and then the one that upset a few people, Scott Dooley, at number 5 is one of the Nova breakfast team, and then way down at number 10 was Amanda Keller, and you know, she had a bit of fun on air, you know, being outraged about all this, and it just built up, it was a bit of fun for the listeners and the announcers, I guess.
Poor Amanda. On a slightly more serious note, Seven heading back to court. We've just had a date set for the hearing between Seven and Adam Boland. Yeah,
August 9, that's going to go into the first part of that on its way to hopefully resolution, but there's been a bit of talk. They expect sort of some mediation to happen, but before it gets that far, and I've sort of thought that for a while. I can't see Adam's the sort of guy who's going to get into court, and so I think there'll be some negotiation out of it, although I'm sort of feeling neither side's willing to sort of back down out of this, so it might get that far.
They don't mind a bit of time in court. Now, News Limited, a new editor of MX. This is the Melbourne edition?
Yep, it's the Claire Sutherland has taken on the role there. It's the free daily. It's a bit under the radar, if you like, but unless you catch a train home out of a city centre every night, you'd be surprised if you get on the public transport how many people are there reading their little MX newspaper. So it does quite well. Their readership numbers were down a little bit this week, but I think generally it's a successful product for news.
Okay, now Foxtel and Austar, we've been talking about this, what, 7 years or something? But it's sort of back in the headlines again that the Foxtel shareholders this time are close to agreeing to some sort of offer to put to Austar. I've had the official from Foxtel, no comment, but of course they're not going to comment to us until they comment to the ASX, or Austar does, one would imagine. But have you heard anything about where this is actually up to? No,
but just, the speculation continues. The problem seems to be that the partners in Foxtel have all got to get together and they've all got to agree. You've got Telstra, of course, and Consolidated Media as partners in there, so that they've got to, get around the table and sort it out.
All right. Still in the same kind of vein, Damien Keogh, who of course ran MCN, the buying agency, I suppose, that represents most of the channels on the Foxtel and Austar platforms.
Yeah, he's been on the show too as a guest. He's leaving after
He's probably watching now. What are you talking about, Kylie? Yeah.
He's been there a long time in television. He's moving into cinema advertising. He's going to run the Val Morgan cinema advertising business, part of Hoyt's. He ran, as you said, sales and marketing at MCN. They're sort of to replace him. They're splitting up the functions, if you like. So Mark Frayne's going to be running sales for MCN. Shay Bonney's going to be looking after marketing, and then a third cog, if you like, is Elizabeth Minogue's going to be handling integration aspects of the business.
Okay, let's go. We've already spoken about Fairfax, but there's a new commercial director for Metro Media, just while we're doing a who's going where around the grounds.
Yeah, that is it's Ed Harrison's taken on that role, and Metro Media is the Fairfax newspaper business, if you like, in Sydney and Melbourne.
And some changing of the guards as well at 10 with new sales managers.
Yep, Kylie Rogers is the sort of network sales managers, if you like. They've appointed new New South Wales sales manager Rod Prosser, and in Brisbane Angela Neville's going to take on that role there. Of course, they'll all be waiting for their boss James Warburton, who won't be starting work till January 1.
January 1 indeed. Let's go to another, just a quirky little story, of course. It's because it's been nearly 6 months, I think, since Oprah fever hit Australia. It might be about to start all over again. Winfrey has now filmed her final episodes, which will air in prime time here next week. Here's a sneak peek.
Within the first 5 minutes, Oprah's surprise spectacular delivered on the spectacular. Superstar Tom Hanks kicked off the party.
You're Oprah Winfrey.
You're Tom Hanks.
Minutes later, Mr. Mission Impossible himself showed up.
I love this. I love seeing Oprah's face, huh?
It was a send-off fit for the queen of daytime television. The iconic host ruled the small screen for 25 years. Millions were captivated by must-see moments, and her audience members were often the recipients of some major gifts. So getting the golden ticket to her goodbye was more than just good luck.
But I'm so excited. We couldn't sleep. Stomach is upset. Butterflies. This is a miracle. It's a miracle. I believe in miracles. This is a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Interesting. I was looking at that ticket line for 10's. Angela Bishop was lucky enough to get over there, and she was in the arena, and so she's reported on that for the network. And as you say, that'll be on. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights next week. The final three shows. Is that something
that 10 would be hoping for really big ratings on? I mean, did they do really big numbers? I can't remember when they screened the Australia specials.
Yeah, I think they ran here finally in January, wasn't it? Late January they went.
Yeah, it was late January.
They did well, and I think that should do pretty well. Friday night's hard to get a big crowd, but million plus should do okay.
Oprah fans will stay home and watch, I'm sure, because they'll think it's a miracle. Let's have a look. What else is happening in television this week, James? We've got on Foxtel, Spirited is, well, not returning straight away, but
back in July. They had a launch function this week because they've just recently finished the second series. Casts come from all around the world for that, so they don't often get them all in the one place. So they took the benefit, got them here, had a function that's produced by the prolific John Edwards, of course, who also had his Offspring started again this week for 10 as well.
How did Offspring do? I meant to ask.
Did quite well, yeah.
All right, we'll get to the ratings.
It was down a little bit, but it's up some pretty tough competition there on Monday night.
Sorry, we'll get to the ratings in a moment. And of course, this is something that we haven't spoken about in several weeks now, Charlie Sheen. There's a new Charlie Sheen. Of course, Ashton Kutcher will become the new Charlie in 2.5 Men. Yeah, that could do quite well for them. It's hard to know what's going to happen there, but he's got a massive Twitter following. So even everyone on Twitter.
Even if a small percentage of those people tune in, it could be a very good move for CBS. And I'm sure Nine will be happy about that here. That the show will be continuing, and there'll be sort of some fresh reasons to watch for the viewers.
Yeah. And finally, the team behind Little Britain have a new offering, which we saw this week. How did that go?
Yeah, Come Fly With Me started Monday night for 9. It's been their biggest hit for quite a while, I think. They haven't had a lot this year to be happy about. But Come Fly With Me did fantastic business. Monday nights at 8 o'clock. A tough slot up against MasterChef, of course, but it did well. Win didn't show it initially because they were, perhaps a bit gun shy, understandably, but because they thought, gee, the schedule's changing a lot. Well, let's see how it does before we go in there too. But it did okay, and then they jumped on the bandwagon straight away.
Well, speaking of Twitter, there was definitely a lot of talk about Come Fly With Me on Twitter. I noticed the following day. Now, just before we get to the actual ratings, I just sort of want to ask as well what's been happening this week, because we keep seeing Australia's Got Talent beating MasterChef. Yeah, fantastic business. That I think it's had 2 nights above 1.7. They're record ratings for the show now in its 5th season, and it's sort of arguably the most successful format in the world now. A lot of people think the X Factor is the biggest show, internationally, but I think what Britain's Got Talent in the UK outrates it, and it's could be what's the #1 show here at the moment. Okay, let's look at the ratings. These are for week 20 in free-to-air. In the top spot, Australia's Got Talent, as we mentioned, followed by 7 News Sunday in second, and Wednesday nights also Australia's Got Talent in third. Dancing with the Stars in the #4 spot this week, and the MasterChef Top 24 in at 5th position. MasterChef also in at 6th place. Chris Lilly's Angry Boys on the ABC coming in 7th, followed by 7 News Saturday in 8th, and Winners and Losers in the 9th position, 9 News Sunday rounding out the top 10 this week. That's one I wanted to get your views on, Angry Boys, because another, that was for the week prior, but on again Wednesday night with another good showing.
Yeah, it's done very well both nights, I think above 1.3 million, so fantastic business there for the ABC. Yep, sure.
Okay, where are we? Subscription television ratings for week 20. Let's have a look at sport first of all. NRL, the Rabbitohs v West Tigers in #1, Storm v Raiders, that match in at 2nd, Sea Eagles v Raiders in at 3rd, AFL Essendon v West Coast game was in 4th spot, and the NRL Titans v Warriors game in 5th place. In the non-sport arena, Relocation Phil Down Under came first, American Idol in #2, and Project Runway in at 3rd position. The Simpsons were at #4 this week, and EastEnders rounds out the top 5. this week. James, another big week sort of ahead. What are you going to be watching?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Cloud Street starts on
22nd, isn't it?
Yeah, next week on subscription TV. So it's been hailed by many people as, a real landmark series when it comes to Australian television. They're saying, look, cinema quality here, it's fantastic stuff. We'll look at that a little bit on next week's show to see what's happening.
I should say, I spoke to quite a lot of people who went down. I think they had a proper preview sort of launch for it in Canberra, and a lot of sort of quite high-profile people went down to see that, and everyone just said it was mind-blowing, fantastic, and the cinematography is something in itself just to be seen.
Yeah, just on making sure the word gets out there. The Showtime has spent a bit of money. They've had, I think, a function in Perth, which is where it was shot. Here in Sydney, they had one for media and cast and crew, and as you say, in Canberra. I've seen a bit of the first app, and I've got to get in there and watch it. Oh, it's great. Yeah, no, it's good stuff.
All right,
highly recommend.
That's Sunday night, I believe. Sunday night, does it start?
Yep,
excellent.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be watching that one, and we'll be chatting with you about it next week when we return.
Will do. Thanks, Kylie.
That's all we've got time for from the team here. Thanks very much for your company.